about your history with Kacey. How'd this all start?
Well, I'm trying to think how it happened. I think that in the beginning, they found me and came for a private lesson here in my studio. I'm sitting in the old studio with a little stage and piano and sofas and pictures, etc. We're getting ready to redo everything, so it's just a big old mess right now. It's a working studio. But they called me to come in for a session, which I did. I worked with her here in the studio. And then I had workshops for many years that I did at the Johnny High Country Music Review in Arlington, where Leanne Rhymes began, and he sent her to me to work with at a very young age. And so Kacey Musgraves came to the seminar. I told her to come to the workshop for 3 days. And then after that, she came nearly every other week or every week here till I think she was 15 or maybe even longer, because when she went to Nashville, I found some emails she sent asking questions when I could help her via email for TV shows.
That's awesome. And I
Yes,
know
and
you have a close relationship with the family as well.
well, they're family to me. Darcy, Barbara Musgraves is one of my favorite people on this earth. She can do anything. She's so humble, you would never know all she could do. But you can't say no to Barbara Musgraves. So basically, Barbara managed Kacey for all the years, and even after she was signed on the red carpet, I'll never forget Kacey talking and said, "Now this is my Nana, and if anybody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, they have to answer to my Nana." And I love that because Barbara is wonderful, and her mother, both of them, and the granddad would come all the time for lessons, and they would come in with a list of things to do, and it was all written usually on a napkin from wherever they ate lunch, coming from Mineola to Bedford, Texas. And we would do that. But we met via, I don't know how they heard about me to begin with. And it may have been through the Johnny High Country Music Review, but I believe all my students I would send there for the partnership there. And Linda Davis, so many stars came out of that place, and I was blessed to work with.
That's
And
awesome.
that's how it started. But Barbara is, when something important happens to you or something bad happens, there are several people that you pick up the phone immediately and call. And Barbara is that person for me. And I'm blessed with a couple of people like that, but I adore her.
Hmm.
She and Kacey fight for me. They always have, and Karen. So that's her mother. And I
Hmm.
love them dearly.
That's awesome. So, let's talk about Kacey, because like we were talking about earlier, she's not just a singer. She is down to earth, loves her hometown roots, talks about her hometown roots. Talk about her as like this hometown girl.
Well, actually, Kacey is the epitome of what a country singer used to be. Um, she grew up with music. Her granddad is Daryl is very strong in music. He had a room in their home, I believe, that every wall to the ceiling was albums of all genres of music. So from the time she was a little bitty, she was listening to every singer, their style, their writing, their music, their accompaniment, and she really it soaked in. It was just her. And how she was a small town, she loved a small town. Mineola, I always tease people that Kacey helped put Mineola in the Golden, Texas on the map, but the family kept it on the map for many years. There's a theater there that they've always worked to keep open, one of the longest still viewing pictures theater in the country, right there in Mineola. And they would have a fundraiser every year to have stars come in and sing. Even my little granddaughter was the baby to sing on one of the last shows. And Miranda would sing. So many of my students would sing there. And they would raise money to keep that theater alive. They fought for Mineola and Golden to put it on the map. Barbara was responsible in helping Amtrak when they had not had a travel from Fort Worth to Oklahoma City for many years, and they worked it out where I was on that train with several of my students. Of course, Kacey was right there in the middle of it, and we entertained all the way from Fort Worth to Oklahoma City. And of course, the big stop was in Mineola, and it still is. So they're instrumental in helping Mineola and helping people realize that you can get about anything you want in that town. It is a wonderful town of food and people and loving and caring. And that's the way she was brought up. She loved her home till this day. She builds the block of her touring dates around being able to be home with her family. If you look at Christmas, she's home with the family. Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, you name it, she's going to be with the family. Now, sometimes, as Barbara says, they have to go to her. She's so busy. But they make time to have that time together.
That's awesome. And it just shows, like, yeah, I love, like, she loves singing. She's like, yeah, I love singing. I love my music, but my family is the most important thing.
It is. It is. And she means that with all of her heart. And until she fell in love with Rustin, until he came along, no one went on the red carpet or stood with her or sat with her unless it was family.
That's awesome.
Yes, because she wanted people to know her family, because that's so much part of who she is. And if you look at her song, there's a song called Family that she's written that I'd like to get the lyrics in a minute and read some of them, but you've got to listen to it. And in education, she cares about the school she grew up in. She cares about continuing fine arts and continuing the opportunity that she had to actually sing and be around, but she was gone a lot of the time. She would go back and forth every weekend and sang all over the United States. From the time she was a little bitty, she was singing for the Chicago Symphony at just a teenager. She was having guitars given to her with her name on them. She was being asked to come to Europe and play in plays and sing. She toured for enormous conventions and wrote songs just for them. She had cut, I don't know how many albums before she was ever signed, because she was continuing to write. And when she came to me, I believe in school she wrote for a teacher a song, but her very first song that she considered that she wrote was for me at the seminar that I did. And I said, the next day you've got to come with a song. And several years ago, they were having sort of a program for me in honor. And if that child didn't get up there and sing that song, and it meant the world to me. She is, in the dictionary, next to the name Musgraves is loyalty. I want to help you if I can. No jealousy, and hard work and honesty. She is a child of honesty. She speaks honestly. She's shy. She doesn't put on airs. When she first was discovered, they wondered why she was on these shows and wasn't grinning the whole time. Well, she's not been trained to be a paid grinner. She doesn't sit there and just smile for the sake of looking good. She smiles when there's a reason to smile. And it was hard to take, because they'd say, well, you've got to smile more. Well, I'll have to tell you, when Rustin came along, now her husband, she started smiling a lot more. This last album that won at the Grammys, the album of the year in all genres, her husband was with her, and I think the love that she had for him has brought this joy and fulfillment out. Her grandparents have been married so many years. She's seen what love does. She wanted only that. And her songs and the way she writes them speak that very loudly.
Well, and she even said both times she got up to accept an award at the Grammys, she was saying that the album never would have happened if it wasn't for him.
That's right. It's the truth, because he brought a side of her out that she had never had. Her earlier albums were fighting for everyone. She was speaking about things people didn't talk about. She was writing about causes that her heart was so big with grace and mercy and love for people. If someone's wronged in some way, she will fight for them. She is that kind of person. And she does what's right in her heart and doesn't, I'm sure she doesn't even read the reviews because she does what she feels is right herself. But when she first came to me, you may want to ask this question, how I met her. When she first came, one of the first sessions that I had with her, Darcy, was I looked at her and she sang a few songs and I said, I see in those big brown eyes that one day you're going to be famous in all genres. And I kept seeing that she's going to even be doing some things for Disney. I don't know kind of where that's happened or what's going on, but I see that happening. But when this happened, if anyone looks at my Facebook, last night about halfway through the show, the Grammys, I text, Kacey Musgraves just got Album of the Year at the 61st Grammy Awards. And I posted that everywhere. And I didn't pay attention that I didn't say country album of the year. I said album of the year. Well, when it all happened and she won album of the year, I went like, wait a minute, that already happened. And I looked and it was country album of the year. And so I was just ready to accept that because that's the way she is. She's country. The people that love her and that she loves are the purest of the greatest of country singers. They're the ones that are lasting. And she loves Willie Nelson. She sings with George Strait every time he sings in Vegas. Loretta Lynn, they get together and talk for hours. She's the real deal. She's the real deal. And she didn't just decide she wanted to be famous. I believe that Kacey, I heard her say this one time. I think her grandmother told me, she calls her Nana. She told her, she said, if I ever stop singing, I'll just write because I love writing. Because she's not a victim to her singing. She's not bound to it to the part that if something wasn't right, she's not held to it. She is such an incredible producer, incredible writer, and a visionary. She is a visionary. And when she's toured with people that people would have died for. And I just, there's so much that she's done that I'm astonished, but I'm never shocked because I've always seen it in her. And she's fearless. She's fearless. She's not fearless because of an ego. She's fearless because she doesn't care what people think. She respects what she feels. Now, she cares what her Nana thinks, that her mama thinks, and I'm sure she cares what her husband thinks. But when it comes to strangers, you see the real thing. Okay, I'm going to let you talk.
Oh, no, you're good. This is, I mean, like I said, I'm learning about Kacey, you know? This is about her and about, just about who she is. And, like I said, I spoke with some of her teachers. Oh, I love that photo of her. But I spoke with some of her teachers earlier today. And they're just, I mean, it's like you. They're just so proud of her. They can talk about how her love for Willie. I spoke with her art teacher who said she constantly was drawing pictures of Willie and painting photos of Willie, stuff like that. And then her yearbook photo, her yearbook teacher was talking. And he's like, I've had her in middle school. I had her again in high school. I've watched her before then. Just, I mean, talking about how she's always about her roots, about her community, about fine arts.
And about her hometown.
Mm-hmm.
The fine arts, they've always been a part. The whole family, they're artists. Her granddad actually helped write her one of her songs in one of her earlier albums. Her mother is an incredible artist.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. She's also a photographer. One of the first albums, I think I've got it somewhere, and I was going to go get it for you, but I'd have to walk over the house to find it. But she took that picture for one of her album covers. It was wonderful. But Kelly, her sister, has always been around, and Kelly Oh my gosh, what an artist and photographer she is.
Mm-hmm.
She has taken all of her album covers. She's helped with the visualization and storyboard for all of her videos. They've done the videos themselves. Some that have won big awards that they did at their kitchen table with a cell phone and a laptop. And they're a family that makes something out of nothing. And I have a book that's out of print in antique bookstores, but the first line is talking about myself, and it says, I am the way I am because when I was a child, none of my toys had batteries. And they stretched their dollar. They made things work. She did without. I'm going to tell something. When she was on, the first time she sang at the state fair, I was walking in and she saw me out in the big packed standing crowd. And then she looked at me and just grinned and kind of waved. And then afterwards she said, 135, 135. Well, I have an eye contact system that I teach. And she says, is that right? And I said, yes, that's right. And it meant a lot. She's still doing that. Well, I was standing back in the back, but you stand now to see Kacey. It's very hard to find a chair when you go see her because she's singing to these giant places. And so I stood with her mother and her grandmother. And I said, I love that dress on her. And her mom said she got it at a resale shop for $15 today.
That's awesome.
And she's going to shoot me. But then she had another dress that she wore one of the first times at the Grand Ole Opry. And it was one of those too. And she just looked gorgeous. They stretch their pennies and they don't waste money. She saves her money. She's wise and she can do anything. She can decorate anything. She can do them. But when you see the clothing and the designs and all the things she does, it comes from this incredible creative mind. And she is so much more than singing, and she's so much more than songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded her here from the time she was 9 years old. Every time she came, I recorded everything she sang, the arrangements of the song. Before she would go to record, we would practice the arrangement, and I'm bad about putting pausing in it and making sure people get it, make sure the diction's there, make sure that people get the meaning, and you can understand every word she sings. If you're at a Kacey Musgraves concert and you make a noise when she's singing a new song, I'm telling you, you could be in fear of death because somebody's going to knock you down if you make them miss one word of a new song, because her lyrics hold everybody in the palm of their hand. And then her voice and heart keep them there. And that's Kacey Musgraves. She's real. She wants to help her friends. She sent Miranda Lambert to me. She sent so many singers to me and helped them. And the point I'm making is, in the music industry, that's rare, that everybody wants to help somebody and pull somebody else with them. And that's the kind of family they are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you want to go ahead and read some of those lyrics you were talking about?
Yes, I would like to. And if you want to see the little stage she sang on, I can turn around and show it to you real quick.
Sure.
Well, this stage is about ready to be torn up. I'm getting the studio redone with a new stage. Here's some pictures. I don't know if you can see some of the pictures of baby Kacey here.
Aww.
Rhymes, Steve Holy, and oh my gosh, Kacey Rivers. There's the president of Sony Music, my dear friend that passed away, Buddy Killen. Here's Brown and Gray. They are Kacey Brown started me at 10, and there's a picture of her when she was 10, and now she's signed again to a big deal. So, and then here's the little stage with all the string on the carpet. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And there's a piano in here and a chair that I sit on. This is just kind of the place, and that's where they stand and sing.
That's awesome.
Leanne Rhymes started in the front room, and a few other people started in the den, and then I came in here. But there's something, I think that if you want to know Kacey, one thing I'm proud of is coaching her when she sang for the Olympics for interviews. And she was just tiny. She was on the Today Show, and she was freezing to death singing in the snow, playing a guitar. and just amazing at a very young age. There's a song in Pageant Material, and I know she cares about education. Look at what she's doing at her home school, trying to further fine arts and trying to help people. It's going to continue. It's not just a beginning. She's going to put everything she can in that, her family together. She loves teachers, and she wants other people to have the privilege of some of the things she had. Mm-hmm. Here we go. In Pageant Material, I always tell people, if you really want to know a poignant statement that she's made that can change your life, it says, "Sometimes I talk before I think. I try to fake it, but I can't. I'd rather lose for what I am than win for what I ain't. I'd rather lose for what I am than win for what I ain't." I think that says it. I think she looks at just being true to what matters, being true to yourself, to love yourself, to do what's in you and let it out, that passion. She produces, when I said a while ago, I recorded thousands of songs through the years here. She now, most of her stuff is done live. The band is around her and she produces it, but she doesn't have to punch in. She can sing a track just almost perfect straight through. But when she wants it right, she's directing everything live. And that's why the sizzle is there. That's why when you hear a production, yes, it has mastering and effects that give it that sound that we want. But the magic of what she does, most of it, I bet, is live. And that's hard to find in today's world. You go see someone and you're used to hearing them on record, but when you see them, they can't sing. Well, she can sing, and what you hear live is what you get on a record. Mm-hmm. Anything else I can help you with?
Is there any, because I know we got to be wrapping up here in the next couple of minutes. Is there anything else, as much as I don't want to, because I feel like this is really interesting, but is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would want somebody watching this to know?
Well, most people want to be singers and want to be famous. And most people think they're ready before they are. And just because they can sing a few songs and everybody stands and screams and hollers does not mean they're ready. You've got to be ready for every review to say you're nothing, you're no good, and live with it. You've got to be ready to pay those dues and sing 3 or 4 hours one night, get to sleep 2 hours, get up for 5 for DJ and radio interviews, go do something else, maybe do a sound check, no sleep, nothing to eat. You've got to be able 300 days out of the year to sing. And with her, she just did a tour of 20, for I think it was 2 weeks, maybe 20 countries, 18 countries that she performed in, foreign countries. The ability to take what you have, no matter how tired you are, and sing it like it's the last show you'll ever sing. Give the people love. Give them everything they've got. And one thing I'd like to tell people listening, a screamer is not a singer. People have ruined their voices winning contests because they're so loud. Loud is a joke in today's world. We have microphones. And we scream like a bunch of seals going, "Oh, she's so big. Her voice is so big and loud." Do you want to hear 10 songs in an album in a car and the stress of driving home in the traffic with somebody screaming at you for 10 songs? I don't think so. And then when you hear them live, they've destroyed their larynx. So I help teach healthy singing, where the more you sing, the better you sing. You don't end up with nodules. You don't end up with problems that you've lost your voice and can never sing again. So when you hear Kacey Musgraves sing, her voice is smooth as marshmallows, but it's poignant, and the diction is clear, but it's not pedantic. It touches straight to the heart of the matter, and you don't want to miss one word. And she has a lot of pausing. Learn to allow your children to sing without tracks. Take them away from karaoke. When they write songs, don't write according to the 3 chords you can play on the piano or guitar It limits your melodies all sound alike. Write songs and hear the melodies and hum where it goes and go where you've never been. Then learn to play that song. If not, they all sound the same. And take care of their voices and sing in a healthy way. I teach people to speak their songs before they can sing them. I don't mean read them. I mean speak them like I'm talking to you. And when they can speak their song with the natural pausing, then all of a sudden when they sing it, they actually are singing to the heart of the soul of the person listening. And because of hit songs on the radio, you can be beautiful on stage. But if you can crawl into the microphone and when people hear you, they can't see your beauty. They just hear your heart. They hear your message. If they have to stop on the side of the road to get it because it hits them so hard, you have a hit. You have a hit. So don't be fooled by people saying, I can make your child a star. Don't be fooled by people saying what you want to hear. Someone that's really good, Kacey could stand barefoot with an old t-shirt on and sing for a record label, and they would melt in a puddle because it's the real thing. And don't go making people albums in garages that cost as much as a car, and you can't even give them to people after you've made it because you say, here it is, but she sings so much better now. Or he does this so much better now. Well, then why'd you make 10,000 of them? You can't give them away. Save your money. Record it live. I record right here live. And when people in Nashville hear it, they think it's been done in a studio. That's the secret of grabbing the message and having it pour out your heart. And you can see their expressions. You can feel their heart. Kacey runs so deep. And the last thing is her interviews are the best in the business. When you read an interview with Kacey Musgraves, her answers are what I teach called fortune cookie answers. When she says an answer, it's not rambling for 30 minutes. It's actually concise, succinct, and it absolutely is a headline. She speaks in fortune cookie answers. And that's why she speaks like she writes with these genius lines. Genius is disguised by simplicity. In Merry-Go-Round, some of the lines that she had in there were so genius, but it sounded so simple. And I'm so honored to have had to be blessed to be a friend to Kacey Musgraves and her family. I love them all, and I'm here for her night or day, anytime she needs me. And to have been in the position to have her thrown in my lap is a big responsibility to someone as talented as she is. Yep. And I love her and I love her family with all my heart. And this is all I do. This is all I do. And only take referrals. And I hope it helps parents out there thinking, oh, you can sing better than so-and-so. You can do this. You can do that. Jealousy is not telling you you're better than somebody else doesn't make you good. Mm-hmm. Being able to stand next to someone and say, I could help you. Any way we can help, we'll be glad to. You'll be lifted up by the graciousness that you can have by not being jealous and competitive. And I think the world is your oyster when you see what happened with 4 nominations for the Grammys, and she won every one. And she also got 2 Grammys several years ago, too.
Yep, she
did. So this makes 6 Grammys that our Kacey Musgraves has.
Yep, that's amazing.
And, but one thing, if you can't speak the song, you can't sing the song. And when you hear Kacey's lyrics, she's singing, but you feel like she's talking to you. Do you hear me? Do you
hear that? I hear you.
You hear me? So learn to love yourself. Learn to let whatever hurts you in life, write a song about it if you can't say it. if you can't speak it to someone, write a song and let it all out, because then you're letting your words speak for a million people. And